Hello everyone, this is Marshall Gittler, Head of Investment Research here at FXPRIMUS, bringing you my North American opening market comment for Friday, August 26th. The FX market is quiet this morning with little change. German and French consumer confidence both rose a bit, which was better than expected, but that didn't really help the euro. The second estimate of UK GDP was unchanged from the preliminary estimate, as it always is, but the components of GDP, which is the interesting part of this announcement, were better than expected. Investment and consumption were both relatively strong. Not much impact on the pound, though, as everyone is waiting for tonight's speech by Fed Chair Janet Yellen at the Fed's Jackson Hole Symposium, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. After New York Fed President Dudley and Fed Vice Chair Fisher both warned the markets that another rate hike is not only possible, but indeed likely, what will their boss say today? Just this week, the market's estimate of the odds of a rate hike at the September meeting have risen to 30% from 20%. Now we have to see if Yellen will ratify the market's repricing. Her past performance doesn't give us much reason to think that she will. She didn't previously use the symposium as the platform for major announcements, and it's questionable whether she would want to do so a week before the payroll data. Nonetheless, I expect her to confirm that the Fed is still capable of raising rates this year. I think that should be enough to firm up the dollar. I think the big surprise from Jackson Hole, though, could be Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda's comments. He's speaking Saturday as part of the final overview panel, along with the ECB's Benoit Cour and the Bank of Mexico governor. Now, Japan announced its inflation figures overnight, and they showed the very low inflation rate actually slowing further, with the country slipping further into deflation on some measures. In light of these deteriorating figures, Governor Kuroda may drop hints about further action that the Bank of Japan can take at its September meeting. Kuroda surprised the markets last weekend with unusually frank comments in a newspaper interview, when he said they could take further action at that next meeting. The comments were a surprise because up to then, Kuroda had always preferred not to telegraph his moves beforehand, so they had a bigger impact when they were announced. His comments last week suggest a change in the Bank of Japan's communication strategy. If so, the high-profile Jackson Hole seminar would be a good place to make another market-moving pronouncement, like ECB President Draghi did with comments hinting at quantitative easing in 2014. Watch out for any significant comments by Kuroda over the weekend and a higher dollar-yen when the market opens up again on Monday. As for the U.S. indicators, U.S. wholesale inventories are expected to have risen only slightly in July on a month-on-month basis. That could prove negative for the dollar. Unlike Germany and the UK, the U.S. does revise its headline estimate of GDP growth at each revised estimate. However, now that the Census Bureau has added more data to its preliminary GDP estimate, the revisions should be smaller than they used to be. Second quarter U.S. GDP is expected to be revised down slightly, but with third quarter growth looking pretty healthy, a small downward revision to the second quarter shouldn't change anyone's view. I think the figure will be neutral for the dollar. This is Marshall Gittler, Head of Investment Research at FXPRIMUS. Get more market insights on our education pages and turn your trading ideas into action with FXPRIMUS, the safest place to trade.